Okay, let me see if I can explain it as far as evolution and symptoms in a different way so you understand. So you see what it will take for this environment to become stable. And it's not going to become stable for a while now. It's not going to be. Because we have people at different levels of evolution and de-evolution. And when you have that much instability in an environment, everything is going to get affected, like everything. Even those who are highly evolved are still going to get affected. Okay? So let me read this to you. The system caters to the lowest common denominator. Those are the babies, the children, and the severely immunocompromised. So like the elderly. And the most evolved. Because the most evolved, not evil, hold on, I'm going to change this. The most evolved people, are going to take on the weaknesses of the children and the sick and the elderly and evolve to the level of that environment. The only time this atmosphere is going to calm down is when the lowest common denominator is able to rise to the level of the evolution and stay stable. That's not going to happen for a while. The reason why the most evolved people are still feeling evolution is because they're now evolving, taking on the programming of someone who is depleting or growing up and releasing. Okay? So when a child is growing up, they're releasing residual programming that somebody else is taking on and evolving to that level. So that's why children can be super spreaders, because they are constantly going through an evolutionary cycle. This is why it's very, very interesting how this is going to affect children in this environment with such an influential virus. Okay? And then you have the immunocompromised. You have the elderly who are also shedding their old life, their old programming. And so then the children and anyone in the vicinity is going to have to feel that evolution because they're taking on that new environment. The only way you're going to have a stable atmosphere is if everybody rose to the level of the evolution and there wasn't any instability within the microbiome internally, projecting externally. See, the reason why we have so much instability is because we have so many people at war with themselves. And when you're at war with yourself and your microbiome, you'll be at war with other people. You'll be at war with everything around you. That's the thing, is that's why we're not going to see a stability. We'll see a controlled decline. Yes, you're still going to see people come down with cancer disease, chronic illness, and drop like flies unexpectedly, though it'll be expected because of this environment. And so until this virus runs through everybody, and people are finally growing up to the level of their environment and staying stable. But with people having children all the time, people are dying all the time, that chaos of growing up and growing old is contributing to the instability of this atmosphere. So I don't see this environment calming down anytime soon. I don't care what they say on CNN, that if everybody gets vectorized, it's going to be fine, everything back to normal. There's not, I mean, yeah, back to normal what? We have a certain percentage of people die in our society, and a certain percentage are reproducing, and a certain percentage are in a cured state, you know, performing in their jobs so well for a certain amount of time. I mean, yeah, okay, if that's normal to you, but not with an aggressive virus in the environment that's only mutating. I don't see that happening as far as stability. So I'm just going to let you know right now, we're in for this for the long haul, because we have set ourselves up to deal with, well, we set ourselves up to accept the evolution of children who are releasing, and we have been conditioned and set up to expect that people decline. And when you're declining, you're releasing all the latent viruses that you didn't want to deal with. And so your family members, your community, all the hospital staff are taking on that viral energy, and it may be laying dormant and then also being put in a cured state with the therapeutics, which then will also rise to the surface as the people who are receiving that energy is getting older and also depleting, releasing. And so this is just going to be more of the same, but that's why you have to strengthen your first and second lines of defense, so you don't trigger the third line of defense. And if you don't know what that is, first and second lines are the first lines of defense is the fever, or the coughing, the sneezing, and the mucus. The second lines is the fever, the barfing, and the diarrhea. The third line is cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, and then eventually death. You don't want to trigger the third lines of defense, but if you do, there's a way out as long as you're not at the last end. When you're at the end of your rope, it's going to be such a climb out of that hole. And not everyone survives that climb out of that hole. And so if I get you before you trigger that third line of defense, then you might actually have a chance in this very aggressive, highly dynamic society. But if you keep resisting new information, then I guess the inevitable is going to happen. All right, bye.